to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Here we go. Wholesale Hotline number 144. I am one of three hosts. My name is Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People. Pace and Jamil are running a few minutes late, so I'm going to start out with a little bit of mindset to get us started on this beautiful Monday evening. All right, I wanted you to think about this. I want you to think about two words: failure quotient. It's kind of a strange word, quotient, but let me read this. This is from an incredible book. It's a very thin book. It's about, 100 pages, maybe less. It's called Go for No, and I think that this is very appropriate when we're talking about what scripts to use in our business, what scripts to use to be able to build rock-solid skills in this business. Because the fact is this: good markets, bad markets, doesn't matter. If you have skills, you make it. Good situation, bad situation. If you have skills, you make it. All right? But it just depends on what is your failure quotient. How many times are you willing to fail? Let me read this to you and see if this makes sense. Each of us has our own personal failure quotient. In other words, how many times is a person willing to fail before succeeding? How many times are they willing to get knocked down and then get back up, knowing that they are almost certain to get knocked down again? Have we been there? Yep, I bet. How much failure can they endure on the road to success? Perhaps the single most important factor that determines if a person will achieve everything they want in life or simply settle for crumbs is their failure quotient. And I bring that up because I think this is really fun. You know, I think this is really interesting. I think it's really something that if you really start taking the action in this business, you start having quality conversations with distressed property owners or with property owners that maybe they just want to get rid of their property right now and they want to be the bank on those properties. The more that you do that, the more conversations that you have, the more you're going to fail, without a doubt. And if you want to see the most successful people, it's the people that have failed the most. I've talked to over 45,000 property owners myself. I stopped calling daily in 2017. That was 5 years ago. From 2011 to 2017, from 9 o'clock to noon, every single day, Monday through Friday, I was making calls to property owners. And it started out just as a regular real estate agent. And then I realized that if you call property owners that own properties that need renovation, you could do something called wholesaling. You could take that, you could put a property under contract and then sell the rights to purchase that property. Isn't that incredible what wholesaling is in real estate? Isn't it incredible that the moment that you build that trust, that you go and you have those quality conversations with the distressed property owner and build that trust and pre-qualify them based on the condition of their property, their timeline to sell that property, their motivation to sell that property, and their price. You get those four things. That's the scaffolding. That is the skeleton of every conversation. When we talk about quality conversation, those are the four things that we're trying to get out of the property owner so that we can see if what we can offer them is going to be of value to them, right? Once we do that, once they take that pen, or they go onto their email, or they go onto their phone into their email, and they electronically sign, or they sign right there when you're at the kitchen table, that becomes an asset. Isn't that wild? Did you have to pay for that asset? Maybe, if you consider the marketing costs, if you consider the cost of your time. But for the most part, it's not like you're investing 20% down on that property. to get an asset. You're signing a document, and that document instantly, magically becomes an asset. That's something that you can then sell to somebody that wants to purchase that property, that wants the rights to purchase that property. It's absolutely incredible. And the magic that happens in that moment when you get that signature, you could do it again and again and again and again. And that's the whole point of the show. That's the whole point of what we're talking about on Wholesale Hotline is if you're starting out in this business and you don't have a tremendous budget to go out there and spend, and you don't have a tremendous amount to put down on properties, but you know in your heart that you want to be a real estate investor, that you know that the asset class that you want to dedicate your life to is real estate, because you understand that the best investment in the land is land, not vacant land, but you get it. It's an old saying from 1,000 years ago or whatever else. But you understand, you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, you understand the power that you get when you're a real estate investor and you're going after it, but you don't have the funds, you don't have the experience, you don't have the backing, you don't have anything, but that you could go out today and you could go out into the streets and find a distressed property. It's just those ugly properties out there. And you can go and you can have the tools to be able to pull all the information about how long that person has owned that property, what their phone number is. And you could call those people up and you can find out the condition, the timeline, the motivation, and the price of that property owner, and you get them to work with you. That's an asset. That's absolutely incredible. So when we talk about scripts, when we talk about the things to say, it is critical to go into not only building a really, really, really strong business, but for building it faster. We can actually practice these things. We can actually get better at these things. But Brent, I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to strangers. Stop it. Yes, you do. You do. I don't believe it. You can do it. Hey, Pace, I'm on a little bit of a rant here.
I want to hear it. Keep going.
All right. So you can go out there and you could build the skills of talking effectively with these people, having a good quality conversation with these property owners. And the more that you do it, and the more that you practice, and the more that you understand that certain things are going to pop up all the time. When you ask a property owner, when do you plan on selling this property? Or you ask a property owner, would you consider an offer on this property? There's only one of 6 responses that you're going to get. Yes, they do want to sell it. No, they don't want to sell it. Maybe in the future. How much will you give me? Who are you? And how'd you get my number? That's when you pick up the phone and talk to somebody. That's the only responses. And if you're talking face to face, there's only 5 responses because they're not going to ask you how they got their number. So you learn how to respond to every single one of those responses, and you feel bulletproof. You feel like a gunslinger walking through the saloon doors. You bust them open, and you're just waiting for them to throw something at you. You're waiting for objections. Right? You're just waiting for them to like hit you with something because you're ready and you're prepared. Because you've got the skills, you've got the talent. And guess what? Once you get to that point when you're really good and you're locking up those deals and you're closing $30,000 3 straight months in a row, then you start hiring people and you start bringing people in and you start building the team. There's a great video that Pace has on his YouTube channel with Grant Cardone. He says that the team has to be there. The team has to believe in you. The team has to be fully behind what you are doing in your business. And when you can bring a group of people together on one common goal to go out there and really serve this community, your community, and help the people that have these distressed properties, you are unstoppable. You are absolutely unstoppable. And when that happens, the money starts rolling in. You take that money and you start putting them into assets. And that's how you not only become rich, that's how you become wealthy. Pace, good to see you, brother.
Thank you, brother. That was great.
Come on in.
Sorry I was late, dude. I was at an appointment with an agent, which I rarely go on appointments, but this was a really good one. I'm glad I went. Sub 2 deal. Okay.
Yep.
Seller listed the property in April for $499.
Yep.
They move out because they're like, we're confident this house is going to sell. $499 list price, April to May, May to June, June to July, July to August, August, September, September to October, October to November, 7 months
Yep.
of this seller making payments on a house they moved out of.
Mm-hmm.
This is so absolutely common right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the new normal, guys.
Yep.
Agent says, I don't know what to do. Houses in the neighborhood are selling for $450,000 4 months ago. Now they're selling for $415,000.
Mm-hmm.
Interest rates are going up. My seller says, no, we need to sell the house for $499,000. And I'm having so much fun watching this. I've bought so many deals over the last couple of weeks. I'm now wholesaling a little bit more sub twos than I used to because I can't handle all the sub two deals that are coming to me right now. It is so common. Wholesale, wholesale, wholesale. This deal, I'm sitting here listening to the logic of what's going on in the marketplace right now. There are sellers that are just so emotionally tied to the last 2 years
Yep.
of being convinced their houses are worth whatever it is. And so I told her today, this is what I said. And by the way, I'm now going to a lot more seller appointments just because I want to record myself there. So I text her ahead of time. I go, hey, I'm going to be there, but I want you to know I'm bringing my camera guy. And I always tell them now, and I'm just going in and people go, how do you talk to agents? How do you talk to people? I go, watch me. I'm going to put a microphone on. I'm going to have a camera guy, make it a little bit awkward, but ease the people into the conversation. I recorded the whole 45-minute thing. And I said, look, either your seller gets a great deal today, selling it to me sub 2, or I get a great deal in 3 months on the foreclosure house. And she goes, you're right.
Let me ask you this, Pace. Why has the agent not convinced the seller to lower the price?
Because agents are not great business people. I'm so sorry to say that. This isn't just an agent conversation. This is a human being conversation.
Yep.
The majority of people have a hard time with confrontation. So forget about agents. There are thousands and thousands of agents that are top notch, unbelievable, great business people. They can handle these types of situations really, really well, and they can confront. But here's why. It's because it was the agent's first listing. And what happens is the agent isn't educated. They went and got their license looking at all these people making money the last couple of years. So they get their license. Their first listing is a family member.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to normal real estate. This happens all the time. So you get these types of agents that take a listing and they don't confront the seller and say, do you know that there's a house currently listed, same floor model, 5 houses away, listed for $430,000, and it's been listed for 60 days with no offers, and you want me to list yours for $499,000? I'm okay. Go hire somebody else.
It's a waste of time.
They still take the listing, Brent.
Yeah.
Why are they doing this?
Because they want to be busy, not productive. That's it. I mean, listen, you're hoping that at some point, if you take that listen, I've been licensed since 2004. I was an agent for over 10 years. Like you want to be a truth teller, truth seeker with everybody. But if somebody has a certain price that they want, you go, listen, I'm willing to put it there, but I want to put an automatic price reduction after 2 weeks if we don't get it sold. Because the fact is, if a property hits the market and it's priced right, I don't care what market it is, it'll sell. Right?
Right.
I mean, it'll sell. It'll sell multiple offers very quickly if you price a property right. It doesn't matter if you're in an up market, down market, flat market, whatever it is. The price determines everything.
Yeah. And the price is determined by the buyer's willingness to pay it.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. I don't care what the appraiser says, the seller says. And here's the thing. Okay. This is what's crazy to me, but it's common. And I did, today was a day off for me. I've been crazy busy. I was in Orlando for 2 days. I spoke on a multifamily stage, had a sub 2 meetup in Orlando. Then I went to Dallas, had a mastermind that I put together with just private lenders that have loaned money to me on big deals. And so I brought to get them together, did a multifamily, like a full day out in the field, 2 days with my multifamily investors. And then I did a Dallas meetup, spoke on stage for Ryan Harper and a big meetup in Dallas. I then fly to Springfield, Illinois, go visit a new property I just bought, seller finance, 256 units in that area. Did a meetup in Springfield, Illinois. Fly home, do a 3-day mastermind of my own. And I just today finally was able to have lunch without somebody else there watching me. Right.
Yeah.
You know how it is. You go on these like big long tears. So I go, all right, I have a day off. Let's go find the questions that people have. And the theme of the day was patience. I just continually started talking about patience, right? Where people think that going and getting a deal is going to be one phone call to one seller. And I go, no, man, the best deals I've ever done were like 5 to 15 phone calls to that seller. And I was patient. Just because I didn't get, Chester drove down from Chicago to Springfield, Illinois with a whole gang of people. We had 65 people to come meet me in Abraham Lincoln's hometown of Springfield, Illinois. It's very cool. Thank you, Chester. Appreciate that. So I just kept talking about and reminding myself of all these deals. We went and popped in front of a bunch of properties I own. And I said, this property took 6 months. This property took 4 months. This property took 2 months. This property took 15 calls, whatever. But most people's problem is they get to the third phone call and they go, man, this isn't working. I can't get this person to give me a good price. It's like, you haven't followed up. You don't understand their circumstances, and you think that this is not a follow-up game. Then I realized the true root of that problem. The true root of that problem is that most of the people that have a hard time with follow-up have never owned a business of any capacity at any point in their life. Because the only people that don't understand the follow-up game are people who are employees.
Yep.
Because you don't need to follow up. Somebody else is following up for you and presenting, do this busy work all day long. Meanwhile, the salespeople on their team are actually doing the follow-up for you. You just don't see it. So I had this meetup and I was asking everybody, what other businesses are you guys in? Graphic design, real estate agent. I do website building, blah, 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 blah. And I asked the graphic designer, do you own your own business? He goes, yeah. And I go, what does the majority of your business consist of? And he goes, following up with clients that said they wanted a quote. And I'm like, interesting how even graphic design, bookkeeping, real estate agent, wholesaling, it's all the same thing, but people don't want to be patient. They don't want to build a pipeline and build a business. They want to just react to somebody else saying, I'll sell you my house. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I opened it up with this from Go for No Pace about the failure quotient. The failure quotient. How many times can you fail and keep getting up and keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and keep improving and keep going and keep pushing? And I think people, the biggest fear of lead follow-up, Pace, is they'll tell me they don't want to sell anymore. And then I don't have a lead. Then I have to start all the way back at the beginning and go find that lead, right? And oh my gosh, but if I don't ever talk to them, I can keep in my mind that they could do business with me at some point.
Yeah.
Right. Or I'm only going to work with laydowns. I'm only going to work with people that are like, come over to my house right now and we're going to get a deal done, which is very rare. It's just super, super rare. This is selling a house is a very intimate thing. Selling a house is a very, it's a drawn out process for a reason. It's a big decision. There's a lot of different things that have to happen there. And people need to be 100% convinced that this is what they want to do, that they're ready to sign the document. They're ready to sign the deed over to somebody else. And because of that, we need to build actual relationships with people. We need to listen to them. We need to see if what we can provide actually makes sense to them. Because if it doesn't, we provide no value. We're just spinning our wheels anyway. We get paid equal to the amount of value we provide. It's the go-giver. It's in there. It's number one. The number one rule of stratospheric success is the amount that you give is the amount that you get. I mean, that's been around for forever. Just skinned differently by different authors and different presenters and people out there. But the fact is, you got to discover, can I actually provide value to somebody? And I think, Pace, that's where the imposter syndrome comes in. I think that's where the fears come in, is can I actually provide value to this person? Because I just watched Wholesale Hotline and they told me I need to find the condition, timeline, motivation, and price of and when I'm talking to the owner of this rundown vacant house down the street, and I just don't feel like I'm providing any value. I feel like I'm just going out there and doing my best to try to talk to him, but I don't know what to do at that point. That's why you need people that have done it. That's why you don't just walk out into the desert and just go, well, I'm going to just see what happens. You take a guide, you go with you, you know where you go. You look at a map, you understand, is there a trail? Is there not a trail? There's a trail for this business. There's a trail for this business. I'm telling you, you don't have to go out alone. You don't. And I'm not talking about paid mentorships. That's the next step up. You can find somebody local in your market that is starting at the same place as you are. And you just try to figure it out, right? Maybe a few steps, not at the same place, a few steps ahead, right? A few steps ahead of where you're at so that they can help you out. And it goes a lot faster.
This is good. So a couple of things. Nicholas says, I've been following up with one lead for 2 years. I didn't know how to make it happen until I joined Sub 2. I bet that I get that under contract this month. So that's a big deal. So like people like Chester Texan, right? So Chester's in Chicago. You'll see him make comments in the side chat talking about, I'm in Illinois. I can help you close. By the way, Chester put his cell phone in here. He's helped a lot of people do a lot of deals. He's in the Illinois market. Here's his phone number, 630-400-7471. He's amazing. He's been a leader for a long time, been consistent, shows up. He's somebody that's been in the business, can show you the ropes. If you can't join a mentorship, go do deals with a guy like Chester. He's unfreaking believable. It's exactly what Brent was just saying. Now, Travis Banks asks a great question. How do you know when to stop following up? Do you have a guideline for this, a one sheet, or here's 5 reasons why a seller should not be followed up with? What are your thoughts on this, Brent?
Yeah, it depends on what the initial conversation was. You know what I mean? Like some people, and Pace, you know this, some people are just like, oh, I saw this house. It's a lead. Well, that's not a lead, right? You need to actually have some sort of dialogue with them. So once you have a dialogue with them and they ghost you, do everything possible to try to bring them back into your world. And listen, the fact is this, 80% of follow-up takes 30 seconds. Let's call it a minute, because you're going to call, they're not going to answer, and then you're going to leave a voicemail and you're going to text. And you do that once. So 1 minute per lead, right? How many leads do you have? I mean, we keep leads in there forever. Until they tell us until they sell the property, they tell us like, absolutely no way we'll do business with you. We're not going to try to force things. And we don't want to work with people that don't have a good energy, a good vibration that we want to work with. Right. But, we'll keep them in forever. We'll keep them in as long as we can, because the lead follow-up doesn't take that much effort. I mean, Pace, we have people in our database that we've been following up with for 7 years. And we talk to them every once in a while, and they're kind of like here and there, and then we move on. We throw different skills at them, right? We start throwing some creative finance skills. We start throwing just cash skill. We start throwing all these other, why don't you list it? Well, you've got a great agent. You could do this, right? Why don't we do a novation? We could try this. We could partner on this thing, and I'll fix it up. I'll put the money into the property. We'll fix it up and sell it. A lot of different options there. So
yeah, we had back in the day when I first met you, my wife was doing all my follow-up for me. Okay. Mm-hmm. Actually, let me fix that. I was doing all my follow-up until my wife realized she should be doing my follow-up because I wasn't doing my follow-up. Okay. So my wife, I was getting mostly postcard inbound calls, easiest type of lead, most expensive type of lead, mm-hmm. right? So you pay what you get for what you pay what you pay for what you get. And what we were getting were very expensive. Every time somebody called me cost $1,000 for a phone call. All right. And I would only get 20, 30 phone calls an entire month. And it was really interesting. My wife, I would go on the appointments just like I went on an appointment today. Dude, I never go on appointments. I miss it, but I'm doing it right now just to teach people, like, let me show you how to do these appointments. Let me show you how to do these right. Let me show you the follow-up. Let me show you how to do all this stuff. Anyway, I would come home and I would say, all right, I'll follow up with that person in a couple of weeks, whatever, right? And I was so busy working on the low hanging fruit that people would call me today and I go out to the next appointment that I wasn't doing my follow-up. So one day my wife comes into my business. She goes, do you mind if I do some of the follow-up? I'm really curious, like what's happening with all the leads that you're not closing? Because I see you doing, 2 or 3 deals a month out of those 20 leads. My wife's awesome. And so she goes back through, she compares the leads from last month, the month before, the month before. She basically goes back 4 months and she compares those leads to the MLS. And she says, oh, these ones have not sold yet. These ones have sold. These ones sold on the market through an agent. So they were never a good opportunity for you in the first place. So that's good. And she would make notes. She'd say, this person ended up selling on the market at this price that you would have never offered for. And I go, cool. Then that wasn't a good thing. And then I could process in my brain, this is something that nobody talks about. Like going back on your leads and following up on them and saying, they sold, who'd they sell to? What price did they sell to? Who is the avatar of the buyer that bought the property?
Yep.
And was that ever even an opportunity for me? Right. And then processing the conversation you had with that seller and comparing, did I do a good job? What could I have done better? And then my wife found another category that was actually very sizable. And the category she found was sellers that were selling the property to other wholesalers. And my wife would call them and say, hey, I saw you sold the house to ABC Home Solutions. You met my husband 14 days prior to the day that you closed escrow. His name is Pace Morby. I'm just wondering, what could he have done better in the appointment to have bought this property? I see that our number was actually really close. And in some ways, my offer was higher than what they closed for 14, 15, 45 days ago or later. And it was either one of two things. One of two things. Okay. Number one, he never followed up.
Yeah.
He never followed up. He told us he'd call, or he didn't call, or whatever. Or he only followed up twice and we told him that we needed a couple months to make a decision and we only heard from him 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them were that I wasn't following up. People weren't ready. And Brent, you've been in the business longer than me, and you know that these people have very unique, interesting stories every time they go, well, I was waiting for my job offer to come in. I didn't know if it was going to be today, in 30 days from now. I was waiting for a deployment from the U.S. Army. I was waiting for a raise. I was waiting for this. My husband and I were going through a divorce. I was waiting for the bankruptcy attorney to give us this and release that. And here we are as wholesalers, just running around the orchard looking for all the low-hanging fruit or the trash that's just the apples that have already fallen on the ground. And we're complaining that we can't reach the apples. Guys, the way to reach the apples up there is to grab the ladder of follow-up. And every time you step up one more ladder rung on that ladder of follow-up, you get to the higher, better apples.
Yep.
Okay. Use the ladder, the follow-up ladder. Make sure you get deeper and deeper into that follow-up. And I learned that lesson a long time ago, that we will not let people out of our CRM until somebody says, never call me again. I am not selling my house, and we will respect their wishes. But if they're picking up the phone, and then I like a couple years after this, I was in a meetup with Alex Saenz, and Alex Saenz opens up his CRM, and he shows a seller that they followed up with 150 times. Hey, look,
Jerry in the house.
This is funny. So Jerry, my number, this is funny. I love Jerry. I was just texting him. He was texting me a thing of a tarantula the other day. My number for us is 70% of our sales are made after the 13th follow-up.
Yeah.
That's us. Everybody's business is a little bit different. It seems like we're like really close and almost in alignment. Sounds like your team might be a little bit better at negotiating than my team does, or my team is, Jerry.
It's very close, Pace. I mean, if you average it with all the long follow-ups, it is. But we have a game. We play a game on how to shorten the timeline. Like if you could shorten the time, that's like you get, big time bonuses if you shorten the timelines. You know what I mean? Because that's really what lead follow-up is. It's our ability to shorten that timeline, because time will kill the deals, the best deals. And so we play that game hard. But oftentimes, to shorten that timeline, it's a lot of contacts in a short amount of time.
You know what's funny too, just thinking about this, is that most people marry the person they married not because it was actually the best fit for them. It's because the person had the balls to ask them on a date. And I watch all these people, like, legitimately, guys. And I like looking at Matt Beard. Okay,
Yeah.
Matt Beard is one of the best door knockers in the entire industry. And I talked to Matt. I said, "How'd you meet your wife?" He goes, "Oh, we worked together at the gym." I was like, "Oh, bro, that's a slam dunk, man. You guys are in close proximity." He's like, "Bro, it took me a year and a half to get her to go on one date with me."
Yeah.
I'm like, "This is why you're the greatest door knocker of all time." Like, doors closed, locked, deadbolts, chains, everything on it. And you're like, "I'll just keep knocking. I'm going to keep knocking until the deal gets done." And he married an unbelievable, a very, very amazing woman. Follow up, guys. It's the same thing in any part of life. Any part of life.
Did Laura ask you out?
Laura did not ask me out. She DM'd me on Facebook. She said, "You're hot." And
Yeah.
I asked her out, and we've been
Yeah.
together for 14 years.
Aaron told me I was taking her on a date. I listen, the women choose the men, I think.
Are you
know what I
serious?
mean?
Is that
Oh,
how you guys
yeah.
met?
Oh, yeah.
She came up to you and she said, "You're taking me on a date?"
No. I laid a lot of groundwork in 45 minutes. Listen, I'm the talk to people guy, you know. Anyway,
Talking to the girls.
it was a mutual attraction. I'll say that.
Stephen H says, "What do you do if you submit a contract in Arizona and the seller does not accept it because of the ink, and to put it into another bin to maybe be accepted by another date?" Stephen, I have no idea what that even means. Like, I've never even heard that before. Are we speaking the same language, or maybe did you like fall on your elbows when you were typing and you just jammed a bunch of letters together? Give me some more context. That is a very, very interesting question. Do you know what he's
What's
talking
a
about?
bin? I don't understand what a bin is. Maybe that's just a misspelling there. Because some people, maybe they sent like an electronic signature out and they didn't accept it because they wanted it to be like a wet signature. I don't know.
Joel, who asks very good questions, he says, "Have you guys waived buyer representation for agents to lower the commission, but then instead give them the relist?"
I think it's so what I used to do as an agent when I was like a hybrid wholesaler agent, is I would give a little bit of a discount to the buyer if I get the ability to list it. Now, when I think where he's at, Pace, is like if an agent is representing a cash buyer, they don't want to earn anything on the purchase because they're going to get the listing on the back end, and that happens very often.
Okay.
They don't get paid on the buy side. They get paid on the listing side. But usually the strongest agents get paid both ways.
So one thing we've been doing lately, I've got 3 sub-2 deals that I'm acquiring this week, like closing escrow. On all 3 of these deals, I have spoken to the agent's broker. They are releasing their listing agreement with the seller, and we are paying them a consulting agreement instead of them a listing agreement. And I was kind of thinking that Joel is maybe heading that direction. The brokers all agreed, we can't sell the house. We've had the house listed for 5 months. We're not going to be able to help them out. This is good. A distressed listing agent is much different. Why isn't Jerry just come on here?
Jerry, we got an opening, bud.
Jerry, I'm going to text you the link. If you want to come on here, we'd love to have you on here, brother. I'm going to text you a link real quick. We'd love Jamil's out for the day. We're going to be on here for about an hour.
By the way, guys, the podcast features all 4 of us, Pace, Jamil, Jerry, and myself, Wholesale Hotline at all of your favorite podcast providers. And it's growing. It's fantastic. I think that you'll get a tremendous value from all of these guys. A show comes out. We do a podcast every single day. And Abreu, a shout out to Abreu, who is our podcast editor there, does a very good job of making sure that that we are putting out the most latest and greatest on that podcast. So it's absolutely incredible.
So this is an interesting thing. So I used to have submit a deal to me on pacemorby.com.
Did it break?
Honestly,
Overuse?
here's what I ended up doing. This is, to be honest, and I feel really bad about this. I just full transparency. You guys on YouTube and you don't have a mentor, it is really hard to communicate with you. You don't have a structure to your education. You're floundering around on YouTube watching random aimless videos. I can tell when somebody's been educated by Jerry Norton. I can tell when somebody's been educated by Brent. I can tell when somebody is one of my students. I know when somebody's an Astro student. And I know when you're somebody that's never invested in yourself because the quality of your stuff that you submit to me. In fact, Jerry Norton, I told Jerry this like 5 years ago. I said, I feel like Jerry had one of the best mentorships. He has this really low priced mentorship that was basically, he teaches you how to submit a deal to him. And I'm like, that's invaluable. Like somebody learning what information they need to gather and combine in order to submit a deal. We just got to a point where most of the stuff that was being submitted to us was just leads that you guys had never even spoken to. And so I just had to turn it off. And now all I do is I do deals with my students as really, in fact, most people that do deals with me now, and if you're not a student of mine and you go, Pace, I'm not a student, but I have a lead, I go work with my students. Like I have zero time for that. I'm so sorry. Go work with my students. They've been trained. They'll go work with you. They have a little bit more time. And I'm just being transparent. It's not that I don't want to help people. It's that I got to help people that want to help themselves.
Guys, in the comments, Tracy just quit her job, probation officer for years. That is one of the toughest jobs. Lives in Amarillo, Texas. Guys, she is absolutely incredible. Make sure that you put in the comments section, congratulations to Tracy. She just got out of the 9 to 5 and is going bananas. So congratulations.
Here's a great question for you. I just did a whole YouTube video on this exact topic. Okay. So Penn T says, have you ever done a HELOC with a private money lender? So hopefully YouTube doesn't get mad at me. Are we not allowed to talk about addresses?
Do you own it?
I own it.
Yeah. Then it's your property.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about this. This is a deal I talk about a lot. Because it just tells so many different stories. People ask a question. I go, oh yeah, I got a deal that tells that story and explains that exact situation. So let's pull up 2720 North Sterling in Mesa, Arizona. I just left it. I was there today. You guys saw it on my Instagram. Look, I bought this house in 2019, so about 3 years ago. And I bought it for $372,788. What I currently owe on the property right now is about $340. Okay. After 3 years of making payments, I owe about $340,000 on it. And the property at the beginning of this year was actually worth $680. Look at that. 10% reduction in price on this house. But regardless, I have $230,000 in equity. Okay?
Yeah. You're still doing okay.
I'm still doing okay. And that property cash flow is about $3,000 a month on Airbnb. It brings in about $7,000 a month. And I net $3,000. I love that deal. It's one of my best performing deals. But and my average Airbnb doesn't do that well. My average Airbnb is probably like $1,100 to $1,500 a month net. Okay. That deal I bought had no equity when I bought it. But as time has gone on, I applied a little bit of patience, just like Brent and his 7 years of follow-up on one of their leads. I freaking love that. I can't wait to hear what happens with that deal.
I think we're locking it up. I mean,
serious?
literally, I literally had a conversation right before the show. They're like, they want 95. Comps on it are 230. We're locking it up tonight. I'll let you know. I'll text Ryan right now.
If you do, what you guys got to do is mathematically break into how many follow-ups you did and add up how much each follow-up made you. You know what I'm saying?
I'm texting him right now.
I would love to know, like, oh yeah, every time we followed up, we made $75. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I hope it'll be more than that.
But
you never know.
I'm just saying, like, combined, if you followed up 500 times over 7 years. Yeah. So Penn T, that deal on Sterling now has $230,000 in equity. So I had a deal last week that came up, a 256 unit multifamily deal. And I'm actually doing that deal with Tim Bratz. He's going to be my operator on it, so I don't have to operate that asset. It's too big of an asset for my team to currently handle it. So I brought in the big boys. He's going to retain 30%. I'm retaining 70%. But I needed money to close on that deal. Okay. So what I did is I went to Sterling. I called up one of my private money lenders and I said, hey, will you loan me money against Sterling so I can go take the cash you loan me and go buy a multifamily? So the answer is yes. I use my personal properties, all my houses, as like a personal piggy bank. And we put essentially a home equity line of credit with private money on it.
I like this question from Johnny. How do you get an agent to let you speak to the homeowner? Trying to see if we can work something out with the bank to lower the arrears with the permission of the homeowner. Now, the reason they hire them is so that they don't have to speak with you, Johnny. But I think, and I've done it before, I've done it plenty of times, where you can go and present, like literally, I want to sit down with you, agent there, seller there, and I want to present how I can help you out here, or whatever you want to say, whatever dialogue you want to put in there. But that would be probably the most appropriate. What do you think, Pace?
Yeah, I like that. For me in the creative finance world, it's very easy to get an agent to let me talk to the homeowner because the agent doesn't know anything about it at all.
Right.
And so what we typically offer is I don't say, give me the seller's phone number. I say, do you want to get on a 3-way call? Or a lot of my students are seeing a lot more of my Zooms lately that I'm dropping in the private Facebook group. That is me and the seller and the agent getting together on a Zoom. And what does that do? It's very non-threatening to the agent. The agent goes, okay, Pace is not going to get my seller's phone number and call them directly. I'm going to coordinate a Zoom together. We can all get to know each other, and Pace isn't going to be all wiling out. And here's what I tell the agent. I tell the agent, hey, I would love to do a Zoom so I can show you the paperwork that coincides with creative finance. And it's my way to show people my mannerisms, show people who I really am, because you can only do so much on a phone call. It's my way to make sure that people show up. It's my way to actually then create content for my students to get a true education. And it is also my way to educate the agent. And finally, I do want to show them the paperwork live and scroll through and go, here's what you're going to see. Here's what you're going to see, so that I don't have that conversation of, hey, give us a couple of days to review the paperwork. Right. So I love getting people just on Zoom.
Awesome.
Ooh, this is a great question.
Great
Alan
question.
says, how can I do business ethically but not lose opportunities? There's times when I don't contract a buyer because I'm not 100% sure I can assign it for a certain price.
But yeah. Yeah, this is a great question. Alan's local here at Pace. I'm sure you know Alan. He comes to the meetups, and he was at Keighley the other day when we were doing the Nightmare in Deal Street. This is a great question because I think it's something that we run into a lot. I think that whenever it's a tight deal and you feel unsure, I always rely, and it's something that Pace does a lot with Keighley and with Jamil, is talk to your buyer. Get it pre-approved, like really talk to them and say, hey, listen, I can get it to you at this price. Does that make sense? And then you feel absolutely confident that you're not going to go and lock up this deal and not be able to sell it and just waste the seller's time, because that's like one of the toughest conversations, is going back and trying to renegotiate the price or cancel it altogether. So get a buy price out of your buyers so that you feel 100% confident. You know what to do. You know that you can get it sold.
Here's what's interesting to me, if you don't mind me popping up on my white screen for just a second.
Do it.
What I think is really interesting, we just talked about follow-up, right? So here's the seller, here's their house, and you've got to follow up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, let's say hypothetically. Each time you follow up equals 1 week. I mean, are you guys locking up all these deals, Alan, on your first week of follow-up, and you don't have the time to go find a buyer? Like, a lot of times I'm not even offering a purchase price on the house until the second, third, or fourth phone call. Wouldn't this give me literally like a couple of weeks, or at least minimum a couple of days, to go find this buyer to verify what my purchase price should be? We just spent an hour talking about follow-up sequences and how long it takes to follow up with people. For us, it's so easy because you don't generate a lead today, get a contract today, assign a deal today. That's not how this business works. Sometimes you generate a lead today. Yes, we get a lot of deals. Probably 2 of our deals a month we lock down on the first phone call or the first appointment. It happens frequently. But the vast majority of those deals, 80% of them or more, are going to require a month, 2 months, 3 months. So at some point, it's pretty simple for you to just reach out to a buyer and say, and I've texted Jerry, I've texted Brent's Dispo team. I have a deal right now. Okay, I have a deal right now in Mesa, Arizona. It's a piece of land. Somebody's willing to sell it to me on seller finance. The first thing I thought of was text Jeremy.
Yep.
Literally, I'm not even going to waste a minute comping that. Are you kidding me? I don't have a moment of my life to comp a freaking land deal in Mesa. I'm just going to go to the buyer I already know is going to do the deal.
Yep.
Or I'm going to find somebody who knows the buyer in order to make sure that my purchase price is correct.
Love it. Travis says, I just viewed a house today where I wrote out for an agent how a sub-2 hybrid works. She wants me to make an offer so we can get it done. I got my confidence from Pace and his leaders. What's a sub-2 hybrid?
I'll give you a good example. I got a deal right now. This is the deal I just left, actually. The deal is this. The seller has a property. Wow, my computer needs to be restarted. What the heck? So I've got a deal. Seller wants that $499, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, that's a problem because the market is going to show that he has 430 is really the ARV.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a pretty big difference. This guy's not going to sell this house, right? That's a problem for him. But here's the bigger problem. The bigger problem is he owes 230 on the house, okay, to a bank. And he's thinking in his mind, I want all this equity, this big difference between 230 and 430. He wants $200,000 in cash, so he's looking to sell his house.
Got it. Yep.
So, well, the problem is, what if you don't sell your house and I convince you to sell to me on seller finance, right? I'm going to basically take part sub-2. So this is where we call this part, the bank. I take this over sub-2. And then I have a payment on this. In this particular deal, the payment on that house is $1,300 a month for this sub-2 portion. And then him and I work out a very specific structure for his remaining equity in a seller finance position. So it would be 230 sub-2, 200,000 seller finance in second position. If you guys don't know what second position is, go to my YouTube channel. I talk about it all the time. And that equals his purchase price. What I really care about is not so much the purchase price. I care about the fact that I've got a $1,300 payment on that sub-2, and he's asking for $1,000 a month on his $200,000 seller finance portion. So I add those up and I know, okay, my payment really is the only thing I care about. If I have a monthly payment now of $2,300, what can I do with that? If I rent it, the rent rate in that area is $2,400. I don't like that. It's not big enough. It's not juicy enough. If I wrap it, right, if I sell it out on seller finance, I think I could get closer to $2,700. If I do sober living, I think I could get $3,400 on sober living. If I do Airbnb, I think I could get $4,500 on Airbnb. The problem is, I don't know. There's not a lot of comps on that. So I looked at that and I go, nope, I don't want to do it. I looked at it and I said, I'm going to do sober living. Okay. So boom, there's my thing. I got $1,100 spread on taking over a portion of the house is subject to, which means there's an existing mortgage. And the other portion of it is seller finance. And that is why we call it a hybrid. Part one thing and part the other. Hybrid.
Awesome.
Yeah,
look at this question, Pace. Can you have buyers on standby before you even start marketing?
Yeah, Brent Daniels is one of my buyers. Jerry Norton's one of my buyers.
Absolutely. I mean, I think what he means is before he even starts talking to the sellers, talk to the buyers. 1,000%, Enrique. 1,000%. This is forever. It was taught that you get your cash buyers first, you get your customers first, and then you go out and talk to the distressed property owners. We've had a wonderful ramp up of a seller's market where we didn't have to do that. You could put it out and anybody breathing would want to buy that property. But now it's different. 90%. This isn't just hyperbole. This is facts. This is the stats. 90% of the cash buyers evaporated. They're holding steady, or they got caught in a flip in a market that is decreasing.
There you go. And
so, talk to the people that are left.
There was a whole video we did for Wholesale Hotline. It was a couple months ago. We talked about, should I find cash buyers first or should I start marketing to sellers? And we didn't have an argument, but we had a discord about if I'm Pace today and I'm Jamil today and I'm Brent today,
Yep.
I should just go market to sellers because I know what the hell I'm talking about. I know how to comp properties. I'm confident. If I'm brand new, I think you should go find 3 or 4 buyers first and have a conversation and say, hey, I'm looking to go start wholesaling. I need 4 or 5 people to verify my numbers as I'm negotiating. Are you somebody that's been doing business for a long enough time I could rely on your help? And for me, I would do that first thing before I even call a single seller. Because you're going to screw up. You're going to go call a seller, negotiate a thing, get a contract, and then you're going to DM Pace and say, Pace, I screwed up. I over contracted this house $100,000. I'm like, what did your buyer say? Oh, I don't have a buyer yet. If you're brand new, I suggest you go find a buyer before you do that.
100%. Well, it gives you confidence, Pace, because then you're going out and you know that you've got money backing you. If you don't have money backing you and you get into a residential real estate purchase contract without the ability to close on it, that is fraud. You can't do that. You have to have the ability to close, or you have to disclose that you are trying to put that property under contract to then sell the contract to somebody else. But if you go there knowing that you have the money backing you to be able to purchase this property, you go with so much more confidence. Not only that, it's going to keep you disciplined to actually lock up real deals and not just anything that looks okay. Right? Just because somebody says that they're willing to sell their property to you doesn't mean you got it at the right price. Like, have some guidance. There are so many people that will help you. It is an unlimited supply of people that will help you. There are 600 people on this right now that could squat up and help. Like, on Pace's Sunday service call, there's over 1,000. Like, just connect with people. On my Wednesday show, there's hundreds of people that you can connect with and really, find out where they live, find out what they're doing, get some eyes on it. See if they're local. Find somebody, go into the local real estate investor groups. Go to meetup.com. Go to Bigger Pockets and find out where their meetups are around town. We're not locked down anymore. We could go out there and we could meet people and shake hands and give hugs and look at each other in the eyes and do business together. That's the whole point of the show, is to squat up. Squad of Pace and Jamil have been traveling 3 years now. That was a great photo that either you or Jamil posted.
We were traveling 2 years prior to that. It was like we just didn't formalize it. We didn't have a brand. We were just running around to RIAs, meeting people like dummies.
Right.
It was great, and it still is great. We still do it. I just did a RIA the other day. Ralph Pina says, buyers barely have time to talk to newbies if you don't have a deal in hand. I disagree with that.
Yeah.
I do agree that
it's
they're
your
busy.
approach.
I do. Yeah, there you go. That's how you package it. So if a newbie texts me and they say, hey, I'm brand new and I need some help. I see that you're a buyer and I could really use your help.
Mm-hmm.
If I find somebody that's willing to sell their property to me at a discount, could I rely on you to help me figure out the purchase price? That's it.
Yeah. I am a maniac. I am proactive. I am calling people all day. I'm knocking doors all day. I'm scouring everywhere for the best deals. When I come across a great deal, can I bring it to you?
Javier says, can someone...
You need one, right? You need one to verify your thing. Like, people have learned apprenticeships since the beginning of time, whether you were a stonemason or cutting hairs or making swords.
Or how about a doctor that leaves medical school and still has to do 4 years of apprenticeship?
They're called a practice. Those are practices. They're always practicing. There's always the old dude with the white hair or old gal with the white hair leading everybody. That's just how it goes. Everybody has a mentor. Everybody has it. But in real estate, we're like, I don't need that. I don't need a mentor. I'm going to just do it myself and see what happens. Like, stop it. Yeah. Invest in yourself. Find somebody. Find somebody that's going to help you out. I mean, whether it's something that's like a paid thing or whether it's just somebody that lives down the street from you, find somebody. And if they're not consistent with you or whatever else, find another person. If you really, 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 really want it, your failure quotient will be off the charts. And the people that could fail the most win. It's the absolute fact.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I'm a failure.
For sure.
Okay, so we've got people in Vegas asking, can you find somebody in Vegas for me? I sure can. Let me open up a very awesome contact that I actually met through Brent Daniels. His name is Colby Wheeler.
That's it. I was gonna say it. I was gonna.
Okay, Colby Wheeler in Vegas. Love him. He is a flipper. He is a wholesaler. Reach out to him in Vegas. There you go. Okay, he comes into Wholesale Hotline all the time. Javier Pagan says, can anybody shed some light on what underwriting a deal means? Okay, so here's what there's two words. There's comping a deal and there's underwriting a deal. Okay, so I look at this is my personal definition. I won't use the word comping unless I'm talking about a cash deal, because I'm comparing price to price, right? I see a house that sold in the neighborhood. Let me see if there's a comparable property. That's what comping means. Comparable, comparing, comp. It's a shortened version, right? If your name is William, we call you Bill. It's called shortening it down. All right. If your name's Robert, we call you Bob. If you're comparing properties to other properties, we call it comping. That's the nickname for it. Comping.
Yeah.
Underwriting.
Pace or Stillskin is Pace. Let's tell them your full name. Pace or Stillskin. You know?
If you're underwriting a deal, it is very literal to me. I hear under. What are the deep details of the deal? What can I rent it for? Right? What is the renovation cost? I want the underbelly information. And what is a seller? If it's a seller finance deal, what are the details of the school district? What are the details of the down payment? What are the details of the interest rates? A lot more information for me to underwrite the deal under the foundation of what you're looking at, and write it all down. Come up with the conclusion of what is a good deal. I use the word underwrite very literally. What's under the details you're not seeing, write it down, see if it's a good deal. That is called underwriting.
Yeah, it's deal or no deal, guys. I mean, that's the biggest part. That's really an incredible skill, is recognizing potential in the leads that you have. The people that have told you, yes, we want to sell this property. Okay, great. What is the potential? That's the levels to this game. If there's a white belt, the white belt is just like, okay, a cash offer. And then you go yellow and purple and all these brown and black and all these belts that you put on is different things. Different. You look at a property and you're like, okay, great. I can do something creative here. I could do an novation. I can refer this to an agent. I could do a development here. I can rezone this and do something else, right? That's the underwriting. And the more that you do, the more that you comp the properties, the more you understand, is this deal or no deal? But you don't have to do it alone. Squat up with somebody that's done it. Squat up with somebody that can check your work, because it's deal or no deal is the toughest part as we get started. And then how big of a deal it is the second part. And that's where the magic of squatting up and finding people that can really help you out is.
It's huge.
Never do it alone. That's right, Joel.
Never do it alone. It's interesting. I had a conversation with somebody today. I go, what's interesting? I've never made $1 in my life without another human being involved.
Nope.
I wonder if it's physically impossible for me to make another $1 without another human being involved. Yet we want to do things on our own. So
it's a receipt of service. That's all money is a receipt of service. So What are you going to do? Serve yourself?
Interesting.
Right.
Interesting. Here's a good one. Kings. Hey guys, any strategies for dealing with a probate lead where one of the heirs is conserved? Like, are we talking about like conserved as in frozen?
I think it's like a frozen person. Yeah.
Are they in a cryo chamber?
Yeah, I think it's the whole Walt Disney head thing or whatever.
Okay. I don't know what that means, Kings.
I think conservative. They're holding back. They're
frigid.
Yeah, sure.
Here's the last time I did I personally was involved in a probate situation. It was a lead from Rylas Dana. And I always act busier than I am. Okay. When I'm talking to sellers, that's one of my strategies. I'm always busier than I really am. So,
what does that mean, Pace? What does that mean?
I'll tell you exactly what it means. Okay. This is what I tell sellers. I go, hey, I've got time for a quick 3-minute call.
This is in lead follow-up, or do you have it under contract?
This is my first initial contact with the seller. If it's a lead from a probate attorney.
Yep.
It's a referral from a probate attorney. I tell the seller, I go, hey, I've got time for a quick 3-minute call. I'm walking into a meeting. And they go, I'm sorry, I can't get on the phone for 45 minutes. I go, no problem. I think I can get on the phone in an hour and a half. I could be laying naked, chilling, and I'm going to always act busier than I am, right? Act aloof, disconnected. Don't act like you're chasing them, okay? Be the fish, not the cat, okay? And so I'm trying to swim away, not trying to catch the fish, if that makes sense. So last time I was on this, I had 6 errors on one phone call. This is what I told her. I said, here's the thing. She goes, so, Rylas got us together, blah, blah, blah. I've got 6 errors. I go, perfect. I'm about to walk into another meeting. When can we get all 6 errors on a phone call? And she's like, well, I'm the decision maker. I go, totally get that. But here's what's going to happen. I've only got so much money to spend, and I'd love to buy your guys' house, but I have to make a decision in the next week or so. So how can we get everybody on the same call instead of you? And she goes, I guess I'll try and do that. Sends me a text 45 minutes later, got everybody on the phone call the next day, closed everybody. Okay. When you have people isolated, it means you're not acting busy enough. You're chasing one person. You just say, how do we get everybody on the one call? Okay. That's one tip that has helped me multiple times.
Yeah. Pull away. I mean, you chase after a dog, it's going to run, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you chased after a girl, and she said you were going to take her on a date. I now don't even know this story. How did I not know this story?
Yeah, but I did the pull away. I left.
Oh,
I met her at her on her birthday and in a pool party, shredded. This is years ago.
Oh, you're still shredded.
Shred City, did gym tan laundry that day. Okay. Met her at the pool, chatted up, bounced to go to another event, came back. It was her birthday, came back, and it was like, boo. She said if I wouldn't have left, it probably wouldn't have. No.
I guarantee you that actually laid down the groundwork.
For sure.
You're the cool guy. You're the guy that had somewhere else to go, something else to do. This is the problem with a lot of people calling their sellers. Is they're like, hey, I'm having a hard time with my sellers. Like, yeah, because you're not expressing urgency, right? There's a reason why people line up to buy Kanye West shoes when he drops them, is because he creates urgency. He creates the feeling of missing out. Do your sellers feel like they're missing out when they don't do a deal with you? Mine do.
Yeah.
Mine do. In fact, what happens is when I call the sellers for my students tonight, if you guys are a sub 2 student, I have a newbie Zoom in 28 minutes. Our Monday night, I do new student Zooms. I think I have a seller I'm going to be calling tonight to work out a deal. And every single time, here's what happens. I tell my students, I go, I'll call your seller, but I want you to know your seller's going to want to talk to me tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and I'm not available. And they go, no problem. I'll let them know that this is the one time you're going to get on the phone call. So I've already created urgency. This is the only time this guy's getting on the phone call with you. And then I tell the seller, I go, hey, you and I might not ever talk ever again. Totally get that. What can we accomplish in this phone call? I travel a lot. I'm in the air a lot. This might not be able to happen again. And they're immediately like focused in on trying to create a solution in their brain, instead of in their mind. With all you guys, they're like, I'm going to talk to this guy 8 more times. This guy's going to call me 8 more times.
Yep.
Dude, I could literally be going on vacation and all I have is time, but I'm going to tell a seller that every time. Hey, might not be able to get on the phone with you for another week or so. And then what happens is, if I don't close the deal right there, they're calling my students saying, when can I get Pace on the phone? When can I get Pace on the phone? And then my students are reaching out to me and they go, dude, I need you to get back on the phone. I go, I told you, I'm not doing your follow-up. I created the urgency for you. You got to go close the deal. And you should have taken note the whole time that you should have been creating urgency. Don't make me create urgency. You need to create urgency. Okay. Always. Yep. Yeah. Tracy, she says, always be leaving all the time. Classic.
And next, right. You shouldn't have to create the deal. We're deal finders, not deal creators. And that's not saying you can't be creative. Don't get that twisted. You can't, if somebody doesn't want to sell a property, you're not going to convince them. So stop. It was that was like one of the biggest lessons that punched me right in the face. Was we're deal finders, not deal creators. So you have to talk to enough people to find the deals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tracy, I like that. Always be leaving. That somebody should write a business book about that. Always be leaving. How to create urgency in the modern sales environment.
ABL,
the ABL method. I like it. Tasty. Okay. Here he is, clarifying if you get to it, conserved as in court oversight due to lack of mental capacity. Okay, so here's the challenge to that. Here's what you end up having to have legal things get really hairy. You don't want to hear this, Kings. Go generate some more leads, my guy.
Yep.
Follow up with this the best you can, but go generate more leads. The best way. Here's 3 of the greatest sales strategies of all time. Okay, here they are. Number 1, generate more leads. Because when you have more leads than you know what to do with, you do number 2, which is create urgency all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3, your greatest friend in a sales strategy is father time, which is patience. Okay. Sometimes the longer it goes for some people. And what I mean by that is I don't mean touch them today and then don't call them for a month. You got to follow up and understand that there is a process for follow-up. It's sometimes not even about what you say. Sometimes it is truly about the seller's not ready. Have you ever had a seller goes, no, Brent, I'm really not quite ready. I need to make a decision in the next 2 or 3 weeks, blah, 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 blah. And they were not lying to you.
Yeah.
You guys got to be polite. Make the sellers want to hang out with you. Make them your friends. Today, I asked one of my sellers, Debbie, who sold 2 houses to me on 0% seller finance, 0% down. I asked her to my TV premiere, come hang out. I bought the house from her 7 months ago. If you guys aren't making your people your friends and your rapport building, and they don't look forward to your phone call, you're doing something wrong. Build your rapport properly. My sellers look forward to seeing me.
Yeah, I got asked the question on a podcast the other day. What do you say when people say that wholesaling is taking advantage of little old gals? And I said, the only thing I get from little old gals is Christmas cards thanking me for helping them out. Like, for
helping
real.
them out when the agent bailed on them or lied to them and said they couldn't do, or
for sure. Or, like, come on.
The agent says you gotta add. My first deal was a deal where agents told my seller, Janie Munson, you need to put 50 grand in this house before you sell it before you list it.
They said that's taught, Pace. I mean, that's listing appointment 101 is get the house as fixed up as possible. Right. Especially in this market. In this market where there's actually inventory, come on. That they will hit you with either go way low on your price or you put a bunch of money into it.
Right. Freaking right, bro. Yeah. We are helpers. Tracy says we are helpers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. A lot of people I see hanging out in the side chat. I love watching this. You guys are great. I love watching people do deals. Tyler Townsley, one of my students, mastermind student, got to hang out with him the last couple of days, doing a lot of deals with a lot of people, helping a lot of people close deals, doing creative deals. If you guys need help, reach out to Tyler Townsley. He's a badass. He's one half of what I call the Bash Brothers, him and Eddie. And he says, Brent, what are your KPIs for your lead managers and closers? More specifically, how many calls, conversations, etc.?
Well, let me start with leads. Typically, it's 55 leads, and a lead is somebody that has at least 2 of the pillars: condition, timeline, motivation, price. And the more that we can pull out the price, the more likely that is going to be a really hot lead. Because if we know the price, we're on it right away, right? Sometimes it takes some time to pull that out, but we average 9 contacts before we get a contract.
Love that.
Yeah. And that's not even follow-up. I would have to see, Pace, what that means follow-up, because that's like actual conversations, because that's what we really track, because I want to make sure that my people aren't just sending texts. You know what I mean? And they wouldn't. Chad and Ryan are absolutely incredible. It's so funny, Pace. We just went on that vacation that I took everybody to, the whole team, for hitting the goals. And I'm walking around with Ryan Thornton, my acquisition manager, and he is literally making friends with everybody. Literally everybody at this entire resort knows Ryan. He's just walking around doing that thing. I'm telling you, and you talked about it, and it's like one of those things where when you stop going on appointments and you're really worried about it, that's like the real that was the real juice, right? You go there, you've built the rapport, you get that contract signed. Like, nobody does it the way that you do it. Ryan is way better than me. Way better. Way better. I mean, the rapport building, the skills, the communication. He's like 20 times more handsome than me. I mean, just absolutely kills. But I think that is the incredible thing about this business is you can, as one person, be the magnet to bring incredible people. And it's the honor of my life to be able to work with my best friends. It truly is. Without a doubt, it is. And to be able to see them blossom and do this business after just some training and be way better than I could ever be. Jeremy's way better at a dispo manager. Ryan's way better an acquisition manager. Chad's way better at follow-up. They're just incredible, incredible, incredible people. And I think that if you start a business and you really are passionate, you have a lot of conviction about it, you can bring incredible people into your life and win as a team. And nothing feels better than that. Nothing. I think
agree.
It's absolutely incredible.
I agree. And being able to watch your business flourish without you needing to be the bottleneck.
Yep.
Welcome to being in a business instead of a hobby.
Yeah. And then the business is a servant to you and you not it. You know what I mean? You could stay out in the field and be Nolan Ryan and throw heaters until you're 46 years old. But at some point you gotta lay down the cleats and the gloves and you gotta go into the owner's box. And I think a lot of people think that they just go into the owner's box early on. You got to put the work in. You got to be in the dirt for a long time. You got to really put it in if you're going to be that magnet to pull in incredible talent to really run a successful business. When market shifts change, you see a lot of things happen with people that just wanted to leverage other people's skills too fast.
Yes.
So enjoy the time that you're putting in the hard work. Enjoy the time that you're building your failure quotient for real. Because it just makes you a different person. It makes you a stronger person. And that strong person can get through good times and bad times and flat times and whatever else. And you get to work around really, really, really incredible people that love you.
Sam Kemp says, I have a seller, 5 kids, out of money, wants to sell me his property that's wrapped up in a court case before the court case. Would have clouded title until a resolution. Can I help him? Here's a challenge. Every time somebody asks me a question like this, I'm like, get me on the phone with the seller. Because you're missing details. And I understand that you've got a side chat that you've got to, ask questions in, Sam. So I totally get that. But I think you're missing details on what's going on here. What is the court case about? Is it a divorce? Is it an IRS thing? Because here's the reality. Yes, I could, and why is the property wrapped up in a court case? If he loses the court case, is it a fine of $10,000 or does he lose the house? Right? Like here's an example. I had in Gilbert, Arizona, I had a property in Lionsgate community and I bought this big blue pot and I put it on my front porch. The HOA freaking hated it. And I was like, kiss my ass. I'm not moving this thing. It's my house. This is stupid. You're upset about a blue pot. Well, it doesn't go with the colors. Okay, great. I'm not moving it. Guess what? They charged me $500. I go, good luck collecting that. Boy, was I wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they'll collect that.
HOAs don't play around, okay? HOAs don't play around, and they have, like, the power of the almighty God, okay? So yeah. I goes, kiss my ass. And I basically take the letter. I remember vividly the feeling of the paper even 20 years ago. And I'm like, throw it away. $500 comes again. Now I'm at $1,000. This goes all the way to $3,000. And I'm like, I call an attorney. Attorney's like, dude, settle with them right now. Settle with them. Pay the $3,000. You got the $3,000? I go, yeah. And they go, it's going to get a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns into a court case. I end up spending like $2,000 on an attorney, and I ended up paying them $5,000 over a damn blue pot. Yeah. So the answer is, if it's an HOA lawsuit, then yeah, you could buy the house on agreement for sale, create a finance called an executory contract. Go to my YouTube channel, type in executory contract. You can buy a property without anybody even knowing you own it. If that's the risk. But if the risk is this guy hits somebody in the middle of the street, they're suing him, he doesn't have insurance, so they're going after his personal property and his house is tied up in a lawsuit, then stay away from the deal. But you're not giving me enough information, or you haven't asked enough questions.
Ellington Ian, great name. I'm 16 years old and want to start wholesaling. I have a business started with an LLC. What is my next step? find ugly houses and then talk to the owners.
I was in Brent Daniels' office today. Guys, I had to go to the bathroom so bad. Here's full transparency. I was in Biltmore area. I was filming a video. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom so bad. I've been traveling, you know, my whole system is all messed up. Okay, sorry guys, if you're eating dinner right now, don't judge me. And I'm like, holy moly, I need to find a bathroom. So I run to McDonald's with Eric, my video guy, and I run in there and there's 2 homeless people showering out of the toilet water.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, this isn't happening. And I jump in my car, I go, oh my gosh, I realize Brent Daniels' office is literally 2 minutes away. So I zip over to Brent Daniels' office, take care of business. And as I'm walking out of his office, I see this magical sign right by his sink in his kitchen, in his office. And it says, ugly houses, big checks.
That's right.
And so that's it. You're 16 years old. It's the same game. You want big checks? Find ugly houses. That's how you wholesale. That's it. Find ugly houses. Sometimes an ugly house doesn't mean an ugly house, though. Sometimes it means an ugly situation that the seller's going through and they need your help. Okay.
Yep. But that's the start. That's how you start building the momentum. Is you need to build the skills of communication. And at 16, you probably haven't had a tremendous amount of conversations with people about their properties, right? And so just the sooner that you start getting comfortable having conversations and understanding there's a system to be able to see if this is a lead, which is basically just pre-qualifying them based on the condition, timeline, motivation, and price, and actively listening and some other things. But for the most part, that's where you start. And then you get those and you start building on those and you start getting some leads and you start bringing them to people that can help you get them closed, and then you get them done. I love what Tracy said here. There you go, Pace. Perfect.
So good. Urban Dictionary for HOA.
HOA is a bunch of Karens.
Oh, so much. It attracts the Karens.
No, of course.
I feel bad for my HOA. She's such a nice lady, but she also sucks. She actually, here's the thing. She tries to be nice so she can get into your world and like ask you questions.
Yep.
So I live in a neighborhood with 10 people live in my neighborhood, right? And maybe it's 9. We have 9 people live in my neighborhood, and we have one person that's in charge of the whole HOA.
She lives there?
Oh yeah, she lives in the neighborhood. She's one of the 9 houses. Yeah. She, of course, right when you drive into the neighborhood, she's the first house you pass as you come into the neighborhood. She knows everybody, what everybody's doing. She sends out emails every day about whose son said a cuss word at the basketball hoop. I could hear him from the park that he said the cuss word, and I'm just like, delete, 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 delete. When I first moved into my neighborhood, she came over and she asked me, "What do you do for a living?" I was like, "Oh, we're going to be on a TV show and this, that, and the other." So she then would drive around the neighborhood. It's a circled neighborhood. And she was just waiting for me to do something. She's waiting. They hated the Nortons, by the way. Right? Because the Nortons had 10 kids, and one of Jerry's kids wrote poop on the street in chalk. And they called the police on Jerry's family for writing the word poop in the street with chalk. This is the neighborhood I live in. It's amazing. So we start filming the TV show. We do a scene at my house, and I get a fine from my HOA. Snow Property Management, kiss my ass. So I had to go hire an attorney, and the attorney called the HOA and said, Pace has not done anything wrong. They said he can't work from home. So then my attorney goes, okay, you are required to go and ask what everybody does for a living and prove that nobody else is working from their home before you can find my client. Those complaints stopped really quick.
She said you can't work from home.
Yeah, you can't work. You can't have gainful employment cannot be done inside your
Come
home. On. This is during COVID too. It's just like,
oh my gosh.
Cost me like $1,000 in attorney's calls and whatever else. But sometimes you just got to tell people like, look, you want to swing a bat at me? I got a bigger bat.
Yep.
So anyway, HOAs do suck. That's Tracy. Thank you. You're funny. It's funny how that works. HOAs are really stupid. They also run buy and sell groups on Facebook. What? I don't know about this. I don't know.
What the craziest one is? That Nextdoor app. You want to have a hilarious time? Go in the Nextdoor app and just join it. Just look at any conversation. It is bananas. It is bananas.
What is that?
The Nextdoor app, it's just people just connecting and complaining. It's like a big HOA. It's wild.
Wow.
It's wild.
Okay, Michelle Rice. I've been calling agents on all those ugly houses and doing my follow-up. They just insist on keeping it too high and I offer novations too. Cool. Michelle, remember, one of the most important aspects of real estate is making sure that patience is part of one of your sets of virtues. Patience and follow-up. Patience and follow-up. Build a relationship. And by the way, when you're calling an agent, even when you don't get a deal, you should have picked up a relationship with that agent along the way. You'll never lose doing agent outreach because you should be developing a relationship and being so polite and professional that they go, man, I want to do more deals with this person. Okay. We had an agent at one of our golden ticket events where the agent came in and actually did cold calling with us. It was an agent I did a deal with like 30 days prior on sub 2. I go, come in, see the golden challenge. I'll show you how we found this deal and how I pitched you, and you can get listings out of this, or
Awesome.
you can go get deals. So he comes in and he does this whole thing. He goes, man, you know why I did this deal with them is because they called me 4 times. And every time they called me, they were polite and polite and polite every single time.
Yep.
And he goes, I could tell I just want to do business with these people. So Michelle, you already know this. Don't look at outreach with agents as a failed attempt. Look at it as a way to build a relationship with the agent that no matter what happens with the deal you're reaching out about, you gained a relationship with that agent for future deals.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's probably none, maybe let's call it 0.0001% of property owners are waiting for us to call them, right? But all of the agents are waiting for us to call them. You know what I mean? So if you want to like warm up, if you want to kind of get into the flow, you want to get into, get a couple of conversations out of the way, warm up those vocal cords, warm up your vocabulary, get going, feel good, feel juicy before you get on the phone with direct to seller. Call up some agents, that have these rough looking houses and just ask them what's going on. Like, what offers have they rejected? Would they consider being the bank on that property? Would they consider taking payments on it? Would they, are they just, is it cash or nothing? Just whatever else. Do you have any other properties like this with different sellers? I'm looking for a project and I'm looking for one this week, whatever, just like kind of warm it up. We all have, videos on our YouTube channels calling agents live. Jerry does, I do, Pace does, we all do. And you can just understand that it's just a normal conversation. And so it's a lot easier. And then get into those direct to seller conversations, because that's that'll feel like the wind's behind your sails. You know what I mean? As opposed to just you going in raw and calling a seller out of nowhere and just being like, hey, when do you plan on selling this property? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. We have Tanisha Epps, one of my favorite people on the planet. She's a great human being. She says, I'm picking up agents for wrap buyers for those conversations. Huge value in relationships. That is such a great thing, Tanisha.
Will you break down that first sentence there, Pace?
Yeah, what it means is, so let's say that I buy a sub 2 deal. Okay. And I want to sell it on seller finance.
Okay.
The greatest
so you took over somebody's loan.
Took over somebody's loan.
You are now on title. You're responsible for their payment. Mm-hmm. Now what?
If people don't know sub 2, guys, go watch my damn YouTube. We don't need to tell you what sub 2 is right now. Go on my damn YouTube and go watch sub 2. It should be normalized by now. I should be able to say sub 2 out here, and y'all know.
There's people that are jumping on for the first time.
I know. Go watch my damn YouTube, guys. I'm a karate chop your ass if you don't know what sub 2 is. This should be a normal phrase that everybody's saying by this point. We yell it from the rooftops. Don't make me yell it again. Go watch what sub 2 is. I acquire it sub 2, and I want to sell it on seller finance. How do I find a buyer on seller finance? One of the greatest places on the planet Earth is to go to agents in the Hispanic community. Okay. A wrap buyer. It was interesting. In order for me to teach what a wrap is, I realized this the other day. I did an hour and a half live just to teach people in 2 minutes what a wrap is. Okay. And here's why. Because people go, okay, I get what a wrap technically is, but why do people do that? And then I start reversing and I go, oh my gosh, I should have just started with the bare necessities. Do you know what equity is? And most people don't even know what equity is. And so guys, go watch what sub 2 is. Go watch what a wrap is on my YouTube channel. But finding a wrap buyer through building a real estate, an agent with a real estate agent, a relationship with an agent is a gangster strategy, Tanisha. So absolutely smart of you. And by the way, if you guys don't know Tanisha, that's who should be teaching you. Go have Tanisha tell you what a wrap buyer is if you don't know her. Okay, Tanisha, put your contact information on your Instagram in the side chat. All right. Yeah, Travis says, Pace, you've been talking so much about wraps this past week. I literally did a 2 hour.
He's wrapped out.
I'm wrapped out, guys.
Like,
I'm wrapped
talk
out.
to Tanisha. Just talk to her. I'm done. If you don't know what a wrap is.
Yeah, it basically here's what a wrap is, guys. Here's check this out. I'll break it down 10 seconds. If I go buy a house, doesn't even have to be creative finance. I just go buy a house, okay, for $200,000 and I get a loan on it, right? I go to myinvestorloan.com, I go to Quicken Loans, I go to Chase, I go to Bank of America. I get a $200,000 loan. Did you guys know I can sell a house worth $200,000 for like $300,000? I just allow my buyer to make payments to me. So what I do is I go, here's my $200,000 loan. I add my own loan on top of it. Okay. So 200,000, I create a loan. This is where people don't even understand. People don't think that a normal human being can create a loan. And this is where teaching you what a wrap is really needs to have a little bit more breath, because you guys think the only people who can make loans are banks. Brent and I can go make a loan together right now. I can have an agreement with Brent that says, Brent, I want to buy one of your shirts. And he goes, okay, I'll sell you the shirt for $1 million. I go, I can't afford that shirt, but will you let me make a payment? He goes, yeah, let's put an agreement together called a promissory note. You promise to pay me, and we're going to write it down on this note, hence promissory note.
Yep.
And I make payments to him. He just seller financed that shirt to me. That's called creating a note.
Smoking deal for you too.
Yeah, $1 million for a shirt. As long as I only have to pay 50 cents, I wear it, I could probably make $1 million out of wearing that shirt.
That's right.
Okay, so essentially I can buy anything I want, create an agreement between one party and another. That's called creating a debt or creating a note. So I can buy something and I can add anything I want on top of it. And I wrap those two loans together. I wrap them together. This is why we call it a wrap. We wrap them together. Literally, we wrap them together and we sell it to somebody else. So it needs a little bit of whiteboard stuff. Go to my YouTube channel. You guys will learn a lot from that. This is not Wrap Hotline. This is called Wholesale Hotline. So if you guys want more wrap education, go to my YouTube channel. By the way, we just hit 110,000 subscribers today on our YouTube channel. Yeah. So guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys. And if you guys are a sub 2 student, just so you know, I just added another 2 hours to our wrap series in the vault. And I also tomorrow night, Tuesday night, for sub 2 students only, I have an RMLO, a licensed mortgage loan originator, coming in and talking about wraps for us again for 2 more hours tomorrow night. I'll see you guys there.
Awesome.
What do you got coming up?
Wednesday live show. Missed it. The last 2 weeks I've been out. You know, it's
what have you been doing, bro?
Well, we were in Mexico celebrating. We were in Mexico celebrating. The Monday before for Wholesale Hotline was Halloween. We missed Jamil. For anybody that was wondering, he is in spending time with the family in Disneyland, which sounds incredible. And so, yeah, we've got an incredible show Wednesday. So join us. That's at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, because the time's shifted. So we're at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And it's been a great month, Pace. It's just been a phenomenal month. I think that, we all know that kind of the end of November is kind of the end of our year in real estate, because it takes a few weeks to get deals closed traditionally. With title and escrow and everything kind of closing down for the holidays. So we're really making a hard push. And I encourage everybody in all their businesses for the next 17 days, 20 days, whatever it is, push. I mean, keep pushing until the end of the year so that you have a great first quarter, but really finish this year strong, because it's going to give you a lot of momentum for next year.
Yeah. Guys, we had a lot of questions about where Jamil is. He's in Disneyland. This is what you do with each other when you're partners and collaborators. You help each other out. Brent was gone for a couple of weeks. I was gone, I think, 1 week in Dallas last week. You guys handled everything. No, I came on. I came on for Wholesale Hotline. I was in Dallas with Ryan Harper, about to speak on stage, and I still came on. But
awesome.
John says, because of you, Pace, I'm buying my uncle's truck seller finance. Next is a property for myself. Okay. Now, we're going to do something really cool. I found somebody to sell me 2 heavy pieces of equipment, like big cat tractors, subject to, and I'm going to start a badass like little company out of buying people's equipment sub to. I think there's going to be an amazing opportunity for trailer rentals and all sorts of cool things, just taking over people's stuff. Nick Pruden, last question of the night. He says, you're saying a wrap is the same as sub 2. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm saying go to my YouTube channel and educate yourself on creative finance. You will learn about 1% of what you actually need to know about creative finance on my YouTube channel. It's for entertainment. It's not really for education, but you'll at least learn the difference between a wrap and a sub 2. Okay. You're not going to learn how to do them, but you're going to learn the difference of what they are. And then that way you can ask the appropriate questions. So go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to that, and go learn the rest of it from my sub 2 students. They know the other big portions of it. I know all of it. They know big portions of it. So squat up, guys. Holy crap.
Squat up.
Squat up.
Stop messing around. We love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Guys, we love you. Thank you so much. Have a killer week. And next week, Brent, Jim Mill, and myself will all be in studio.
Oh, yeah.
For Wholesale Hotline. Later. Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?